This video will be mutton suet made easy. The first step in making the suet is to simply cut the fat into cubes or chunks in order to get the rendered fat to melt out of it. And watch for bones. Apparently there are some bones still in this fat. The size of the chunks are not particularly important, but rather the consistency so that the cook time will be similar. And as most of the fat is cut, I'm going to throw everything into the Instant Pot. Start filling it up. So the next step will simply be turning the Instant Pot on. Saute mode is going to act like a skillet. So we're going to let that heat up and I'll be back in a few minutes. We're about 4 or 5 minutes into the cook time. The fat is starting to melt. I'll use a spatula and do a little bit of a stir here. Continuing to stir as the pot cooks. We're now about 15 minutes into the cook time, and some of the fat is starting to change its texture, turning more of a cream color. Not really browning yet, as there's still a lot of material to be heated up. The whole thing's not hot yet. That's how it's looking. The cook time on this is right at 20 minutes. And this is a really good stage of the process because the fat has been melting out of the tissue enough that everything in the pot is covered in the hot fat oil. So that means I don't have to stir quite as often, mostly stirring to keep it from burning on the bottom. Fat is melting, it's rendering. And that's exactly what we're after at this phase of the cooking. Getting much easier to stir. Fat cubes are changing their shape, becoming smaller as the oil is coming out of those chunks. So it's looking good. It's continuing to cook. Like I said, we're at the 25-minute check-in and it's going good. We'll let it cook some more. At about the 30-minute mark, the color is changing. It's actually starting to show some indications of browning, close to the point of pouring off the oil. As the fat's already starting to brown, now's the time they're pouring off the oil. See if you can see that there. So I'm going to pour the oil off, which is the rendered fat, and that's going to leave the chunks of fat in the pan. And as I pour the oil off, some of the chunks might go into the jar, and that's okay. But you can see the great color on that oil that's coming off. That is the rendered fat. And mutton suet, rendered fat. And in what was a little over 3 pounds of fat, the suet, we are getting a full quart of oil. And with that full quart of oil, there's a little bit still left in the pan, and that's okay. I'm going to brown the fat cracklings, the pieces of chunks of fat that are left. I'm going to go ahead and brown them and let them be snack food. I'm stirring it so that they don't burn. It's browning and it's looking almost like the snack pork rinds. Of course, this is mutton, but may end up with a similar result. So that is the process. Hope you enjoyed the video.